Welcome back, everyone. It's Alex for another Flyball Friends interview. Today we're talking to someone from Scotland, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Welcome, Cath. I'm so glad that you could spend your day with me. If you could introduce yourself for us.
Sure, yeah, I'm Cath Seeds, and I play flyball with the Saltires from Scotland. I've been doing flyball for about 8 years, and my day job is a lecturer in ecology at a local university.
Awesome, cool. How many dogs do you have?
I have 3 at the moment. I have Toby, who's a 9-year-old border collie. He's been retired from flyball for about 2 years. I have Pixel, who's a border whippet. She was bred in the States, and she's my current flyball dog, and she's 3. And I have a 3-year-old Cocker Spaniel called Luna, who is the class clown.
That's awesome. So what got you playing flyball?
Toby. He's a working collie line, so he is a typical neurotic border collie. And so when he was young, I thought he needs a job for sure. So I started off in obedience. That went well. And so clearly I was, or Toby and I were causing a nuisance in our obedience class. And so somebody had a quiet word at some point and said, have you thought of agility or flyball? So I swiftly sort of went to flyball, and that's where the journey started, yeah.
Awesome, that's cool. Now, is there something that you would recommend to someone starting out in flyball?
Surely. I guess firstly, find somewhere that feels comfortable for you. That might be, it might be the club, it might be the format, it might just be somewhere that you can get to and it feels comfortable to get to, because training may well take up quite a bit of your time. So you've got to find that mix of people and training styles maybe, and then I guess when you get into it, really for me it's about that. Try and train the dog that's in front of you. I know that's an adage in dog training, but try, there's lots and lots of information out there, increasingly more and more techniques. Try to work out why you're doing something, and dogs have lots of different learning styles, just like humans. So try and train that dog in front of you with the right technique that's going to fit that dog, and that takes a bit of time and learning. So yeah, to give your dog and you the best sort of time of it, try and have your mind open and use the information that's around you, but really understand what you're trying to achieve. So again, that comes down to the club and using people around you as well.
Awesome.
So that was a big
answer. For sure. So do you have a most memorable dog that you've ever gotten to watch over there?
Oh goodness, you know what, I was thinking about this question, and there are just so many dogs, and increasingly there are so many standout dogs, and I am really, really bad for being at competitions and really just being in my zone, which is awful. And so there's so many dogs and so many names to call out, but this last year has been Pixel's first sort of main season of competing, and quite early on when we went down south to compete, she was start dog, and I kept running into this dog called Flint, who was on a team called Junkyard Dogs, and it was like Pixel would get super excited, a little brain would blow, and he's just an awesome wee dog, and he really pushed Pixel on. So yeah, that would be my call out for a dog, and a great handler team, so yeah, it's good.
Awesome. So what age do you usually start your flyball training at?
Again, I think it's totally dog dependent, and person dependent, and the sort of kind of way in which you like to train. For me personally, I like to do the puppy foundations, and they are just games. They're classic puppy games that, in your mind, you know why you might be doing them, to enhance that bond, drive, to engage that kind of that connection that you have to have, and you can start some of the early basics, but and then as the dog's developing physically and don't think you should maybe not discount the emotional development of the dog, so that you're not adding any stresses that you perhaps at the time don't realize is there. So yeah, it's a difficult question to ask, in terms of technique and the real sort of direct flyball. Then when they're developed enough to cope with the sort of the physical and the mental energy that's involved in sort of technique training. But I really, I'm a real advocate of all the bonding work and the sort of foundations, because they're just so valuable later on when you start doing technique training, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. That's good. Now, how often do you guys usually practice with your team?
Well, we're spread across the middle of Scotland in terms of where we all live. So I'm on the west coast of Scotland, and other members of our team are on the east coast of Scotland. Clearly in Canada, kind of distances, it's like a tiny drop in the ocean, but it's a decent travel. So maybe I travel about an hour and a half to get to training. So we do make a full day of it. So once a week on a Sunday, we get together and train. And the kind of training that we do, we're working on maybe 1 or 2 dogs, unless we're doing some practice drills with the team. So it takes a fair while to get through the club full of dogs.
For sure. How long does it usually take for a flyball dog to get trained?
Again, it's really dog dependent. I think one of the main things that we have in the team is a don't rush sort of philosophy. The dog will get you there, and it needs to be about getting the foundations right. It needs to be again about that kind of the sort of development of the dog. Not necessarily just in the technique, but again in the kind of mentality of the dog, their physicality. Ultimately, you want to get them to a point where they're going to have a happy and fun career, and that kind of drive to run before you can walk is not something that. So Pix is 3 now, and she's only had 1 full season, so it took 2 to 2.5 years to bring Pixel out. So yeah. Just depends on the dogs. It might be 3 years. Who knows? Each dog's different.
Back in the day, it used to take 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. It was a point and shoot kind of scenario. But no, those days are a little way past now, and certainly from my perspective. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome. All right. So how often would you say you go to tournaments?
It probably averages about once a month. We have a smaller league up in Scotland. Well, it's part of the overall UK league, but local to us, we have a limited number of competitions. We only run indoors, and also winter tournaments or competitions rather. It's quite hard because most of the venues that we race in are not heated, so they're kind of just outdoor indoor kind of things.
Yeah.
So the dogs don't seem to do as well when the mats are cold. So the winter tournaments kind of tail end of the year gets a bit squeezed. So we try and sort of, and also we don't normally do 2 a month because we find that the dogs don't do as well either. So it's normally just 1 a month, and get them done that way.
Cool. So do you travel lots then for flyball, or do you mostly just do local stuff?
No, travel. Definitely travel. So yeah, we kind of make use of, we like clearly, supporting, sort of want to be part of the Scottish scene. So they're kind of our first priority. And then head down south, just north of the border, just south of the border, so Northern England. We tend to do a wee bit of a circuit around there through the summer. And that gives us good exposure to different teams as well, because the local teams you race against, and then it's nice to go south and see some new faces and catch up with people you only see every so often, and great dogs to watch. So, yeah.
For sure. That's awesome. So what would be the farthest you've been for flyball?
Probably around sort of South England, so it's maybe about 6-7 hours down. Champs, I think, from memory, is probably our furthest south, so we head down to Lincoln last few years. So that's about 6 hours. Depends if you've got the caravan. Takes a bit longer in a caravan with a caravan, particularly in bad weather. But no, yeah, about that. 6-7 hours.
So do you have a lot of outdoor tournaments in your area?
Excuse me. Yeah, we do. We don't compete outdoors. We made a decision, 5 years maybe, to only compete inside. It's a really great format for us. It works really well for dog performance, and we just find that it's a nicer competition. Just in terms of how we find ourselves and our dogs running.
Yep.
That consistency. But surely, lots of competitions that we go to have outdoor divisions running at the same time. So there'll maybe an indoor ring and an outdoor ring. But we haven't competed outdoors for quite a while now, yeah.
Awesome, cool. Now, do you have a favorite tournament that you love going to besides one of the championships?
Yeah, I love Anglesey. It's new to me, reasonably new to me. It's kind of I think that it's an event that comes and goes depending on availability of the place. Anglesey is an island just off the coast of Wales. So it feels like it's an awesome road trip. It just feels like you're going on holiday. And I think it was kind of around Easter time, so it was really bank holiday weather, and the last time we went, it was just awesome. It was brilliant. So yeah, it sticks out. It's a great place. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Now, do you have something that you take to tournaments that somebody else would consider weird?
I guess anybody who doesn't do flyball would probably think what we packed to go to flyball is pretty weird. I mean, vet wraps, cool coats, fancy collars. It's like my dogs have a better wardrobe than I do. So I guess anybody looking in would probably have a bit of a like what? But surely I have lucky things that I take with me. So I have prayer flags, like Tibetan prayer flags in my van, and lucky pants as well.
That's awesome. All right, so what would be one of the more important things you learned when you first started playing flyball?
Get ahead of the bond with the dog. So really, for me, and sort of bringing my current dog through, it was definitely that. Flyball is a game of two halves. It's the old, again, the early days. It was the dog goes down to the box, grabs the ball, and then it's there's this sort of half weird kind of thing that happens at the other end. And for me, my kind of mantra is it's that I am the best game at the end of the run, so getting that kind of connection, bond, the just makes us already mad as a box of frogs, but that kind of mentality that she just is burning to get back to me, the kind of grabbing the ball is a trained skill. The box turn and everything is lovely when you see that nice technique. But for me, it's all about the energy and the desire to return, to get ahead of any kind of weird ball obsessions and things like that. But really, for me, it was getting that connection, that fire in her belly to want to come back to the game, and always keeping that reinforced. So the run finishes, and I haven't watched half my team if I'm early in the I'm just focusing on her, playing the tuggy game and really making it an awesome time. And that, even if she's really, she's getting more and more proficient, it's maintaining that link all the time.
For sure, that's good. Now, is there one dog out there in your whole career that you've enjoyed running over others, whether it was your own or somebody else's?
I've really only run my own dogs, and I think that's just maybe kind of. I've only been playing flyball for 8 years, and I've run lovely dogs that have come and they've been through the club, and for one reason or another, we've supported team members who've maybe not been able to run the dog for some reason. And that kind of just that dog that always wants to please you, and the look on the face when they return to you is great. Yeah. But for me, kind of with that limited exposure to sort of dog swapping, I think it's just at the moment it's just Pixel. It's just focusing on her, and that's plenty.
Perfect. That's cool. So is there anywhere in the world that you would still love to go, whether it's compete, train, or even just watch?
I guess North America. I mean, that's been on the bucket list for a long time. So both in America and Canada, these are iconic tournaments that Can-Am and the American sort of championships. They're just iconic. They always have been. So yeah, to be part of that awesome. Enormous party would be good.
For sure. Now, what exactly do you like about playing flyball?
I love that kind of connection. I think that's a common theme that I probably talked about a lot. It's that connection, but it's that connection with the dog, but then it's the connection with your teammates, and it's that team energy that you get. It's not about just being the fastest or the winning the big races. It's that what brilliant feeling when everything clicks, and from sort of all 4 dogs and handlers, the line coach, the people filming and making sure that everything that you're doing is spot on, and then there's just that moment where you get that one race and it's just it's just brilliant. So it's that team thing, the kind of being sick to your stomach before a big champs race. Everybody's kind of geeing each other up, and you're sat round, and then you race, and hopefully you race well, and then you come back and you just chat and chill out, and otherwise why would you go and spend hours and hours driving and sitting in a field with a caravan and your crazy dogs? I love that. I love it.
For sure. Now, I know you talked about the dog that you really like watching. Is there also a team or maybe a person that you love racing against?
Oh, there's lots. I was thinking about this. There's some great teams that we race against in the UK. At champs, the races against tails is always like, it's always one that is a good energy filled. Their energy is massive. Our energy is big, and that's a really big buzz. There are some fabulous teams, Storm Chasers, Junkyard Dogs. They're always a really good race. And then I suppose further afield, you've got Touch and Go and Rocket Relay. I'd love to see Skid Marks, because Pixel's sister races for them. So it would be awesome to go and see them do their thing as well. So yeah,
That's
loads.
cool.
Too many to list. Really.
For sure. So what would be one of your earliest memories of flyball?
I've not been doing it that long, so it doesn't make me about this big, but I wish. So I remember my first tournament. It was an outdoor tournament in Aberdeen, so it's about 4 hours drive. I packed Toby and myself up into a Land Rover. I got to the field, at which point my Land Rover died completely, just black smoke belching out the back of it. So I arrived in style, chronically embarrassed, hardly knew anybody, and then I realised that actually the number of people helping and trying to help me deal with everything, I was like, oh, okay, this is flyball and this is the family, and so that's my earliest memory of embarrassing myself quite early on.
That's awesome. All right, so what would be another favorite memory of flyball, whether it's on or off the racing lanes?
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you 2.
Okay.
A racing one is clearly Pixel has changed my flyball journey. I started with Toby. I made lots and lots of mistakes, and Toby ran his heart out always. Pixel has taken me to another level in flyball, and that's been super exciting. So going to champs today, last year, and being able to sort of go through that whole top team vibe of feeling sick to my stomach, don't want to let anyone down, totally green, winning the kind of top div champ final thing, and just that moment again of that great race, that great sweet sort of everything clicks kind of thing, just going from feeling totally sick to my stomach, I'm going to let people down, to oh my god, that was awesome, and not thinking about it, and it just happened. And then I guess that there's a kind of like a bubble around that memory, which is all the people. We've got some very young children in our team, and they've got their little kind of t-shirts and hoodies on, and they're running around with their parents, and that kind of vibe you get when you're around racing, that it's just adorable. So team, and then having that sweet race is just great fun.
Excellent. All right. Now, do you have any other personal goals playing this sport?
Yeah, so clearly I'm just racing the one dog. So eventually, when life permits, I'll get. I'd like to see if I can see if my training technique can be repeated. I think you've got to kind of prove yourself a wee bit and get another dog out there. So I'd love that, because I'm totally addicted to the training and the developing the dogs. I'd quite like a pocket rocket, a wee hype dog. I think we could always do with some more of those. So perhaps a wee dog. I almost certainly would probably love to bring another border whippet through. I just think they're a fabulous mix, and just see how far Pixel can develop in her career as well. She's only just at the beginning, really. So yeah.
For sure, yeah, definitely. That's basically when they start getting comfortable on the racing lanes, and they still got lots of room to improve at that age. So that's good.
Yeah, totally. Super. If we get back to it, totally soon. Yeah, I can't wait. Good.
All right. So now, do you have anyone that you look up to in flyball, maybe as a mentor, whether it was when you just first started or even continuing to this day?
Oh yeah, surely. I mean, there are some great mentors out there, some great people with lots of good information and lots of good techniques and guidance. And to pin one down is tricky. But early doors, I went to rocket relay seminars. I thought I liked. What I really liked about Kelly and Robin was not so much maybe I mean, all of it was great, but what I loved is when I watched them interact with dogs, there was a sort of this behavioural kind of body positioning and the height. That was the first time really I kind of got that connection of how I can influence a dog's behaviour using my body language and my height. And then very lucky to have with the Soul Ties to have a great connection with Touch and Go, and that Katie Kayla was just fabulous when I got Pixel. She got one of the earlier litters, so really kind of guided me through early times. And then there are lots of people you talk to on the circuit. Joe's great. I mean, he's got some fabulous ideas, and seeing him develop over the last few years has been really good. And he's always good for a chat. And then it's just, I think with Flyball, you've got to kind of keep an open mind, because there's so much chatter, and so you can just be having a random conversation with somebody. Nick Wales, always good for a chat, and how somebody sees something that you're doing when you can't see it directly.
Yeah.
And that might be totally random. That might be totally somebody random who just says, "Do you know she's doing that?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point." So keep your mind open. There are loads of people out there for sure though, to talk to.
Excellent. That's good that you have a lot of people around there. Now, what hobbies do you have outside of playing flyball?
Dogs? No. No. Definitely getting out and about. Hiking, biking, with or without the dogs. I teach conservation, so I'm into the sort of wildlife and exploring places that have great kind of wildlife interests. Started paddleboarding recently. That's fun. With water obsessed dogs, it's more time out off the paddleboard than on the paddleboard. So yeah, just things just to kind of break up there's a lot of training and a lot of dog focused things, so doing something completely different with them is great fun.
For sure, that's good. All right, so I think that's all I have for you. Other than the fun question, I would like you to challenge someone to do an interview with me. Do you have anyone in mind?
I think Cheryl Quinn from Junkyard Dogs would probably give this a good go. So yeah, that would be my nomination.
Excellent. Thank you so much for nominating. Hopefully I will get in touch with them real soon. Other than that, I have nothing else for you. So thanks again so much for taking time out of your day to be here. And hopefully at some point we'll see each other on the racing lanes real soon.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for doing this with me. It was great catching up with you, and hopefully at some point you can make it back to Regina. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you get all the latest notifications on any videos that drop. If you would hit that like button if you like today's interview, that would be fantastic as well. If you guys would like some more information on Flyball, make sure you check out the links in the description below. If you like more information on her team, there's also a link in the description below. Until next time, guys, see you then.